Today we have a new subject, which is the object-oriented programming, which is an excellent way of writing your project. So there are a lot of benefits of using object-oriented programming method, and this will be covered in this video. So stay tuned. Welcome back to my channel, helping you to improve your skills in programming. So consider to subscribe if you are new to this channel. Today we will be talking about object-oriented programming, and we'll cover this concept. We'll talk about the classes, data members, function members, and the access specifiers. So let's jump into the Visual Studio and let's start with an example to demonstrate this concept. So here I just started a new project, and object-oriented, as you know, is a method of writing a program. We were working on the previous project using another way of writing programs. So we were using what is known as procedural programming way. We'll reorganize the way of writing our programs in an object-oriented way. So we have objects, classes, and we will work on those. So let's start by what is a class. The class is a blueprint that will be designed for the first time, and then we can get copies from this class, and these copies known as objects. So imagine that we have a student and we want to save some information about that student. So we will design a class that has both of the data and the methods or the functions all together under one piece, under one thing, which is the class. So the class here will start by writing the keyword class, and here student, and then we have the begin of the class and the end of the class, ending by semicolon. Remember this is very important. At the end of each class there is a semicolon. So here is the first class that you can design, and this is the name of the class that we started with. So the class has two main parts: the data members, the attributes of any student, and the functions or the methods that we can work on these data members. So by default, all the data members or all the members of the class in general are private. That means no one can access these members from outside the class. Everything will be inside the class. So let's take an example. So the student has name. So this is the first attribute, the first data member. Okay? And the student has ID as well. The student has age. The student has scores, score 1, score, let's say 2, score 3. So we have 3 scores here. The student has average as well, and we can add as much as we want. So these are the data members. By default, all the members of the class are private. So you can do like this, or you can just write private colon. So this is an optional one. You can write the keyword private or leave it without. So in both cases it will be considered as private. But if you want to make some of them as public, you have to write the keyword public, and anything underneath, under the public keyword, will be accessible from outside the class. So that means you can access these new variables or functions from the main or other functions or methods in your project. So here I will do the first method here. Usually the methods are public, so we can do the functions private and we can do them as public, but most of the time the methods are public, and most of the time the data members are private, but we can do whatever you want based on your design. So here I will start by the first function, that is a public function that is allowed to access the private member. So here I will say that void, I will say a method set name. So this is a method, and this method is a public method that is returning void nothing and accepting string n, which is the name that we'll be sending from the main method. So here, as you can see, we have all together the data members, and the functions are integrated or are listed inside the same class. So this class contains all the details related to each other. Now here in this method, I will say that the name of the student will be equal to n that we are providing here. So the name that will be provided here will be saved in the right place in the name here of the class. So this is the first function, and you can keep doing that. This is known as a setter, set method to set a value to your data members. So I will do all the others, and you can just watch me doing this. Now we finished the setters to set the values, and now we will be doing another another set of methods to retrieve the data, retrieve the values of these attributes. So we will do something known as getters, get method. So here I will do string get name. This will retrieve the name. Okay, so because this method is a public method that can be accessed from outside, and this method has the privilege, has the right to access any private member, because this method is inside the class that has the right to access the private member. So that's why I will do return, and this is all what this method can do. So just returning the name. I will do the rest for you guys. So we finished those. We have to do a getter for each of the values, because as you know, we can return just one value. So at the end, we want to calculate the average, get average of those scores, and here we can write something else. We can write return score 1 plus score 2 plus score 3 and divided by 3, but let's add some extra parentheses, and here is the result will be. Now we are done, and let's try using the class that we just generated. So this class will be similar to a new data type that you will be able to use, and it's named student. This is the blueprint, and every instance or every object of this class will have the same information. So let's say here student std1, this is the first object, and this is one of the things. So std1 has age, name, average, scores, and so all the other members of the class. If you want to add one more student, this is the second student. So let's get started. So here I will say std1, the first student, the first object, dot set. I want to set the name of that student, and here is the first student's name. See that? std1 dot set age, and we can set the age of this student 23, for example, and std1 dot set, and here we can set the scores. We need to pass all the scores together: 70, 65, 90. See that? So we are sending that. The cout to print it out, but here I will do std all the time. Start with the object dot the function that you want. So you have all the list of the methods that we created, so we can retrieve the age, average, and so on. So I want just to retrieve the average, and remember, this is the way of writing it: some spaces, and you will see that the results. So here let's run, and you can see this is the average of the scores that we entered. See that? So it's calculated and retrieved by the get average. So you can do the other information. Let's say I want to print the student name, std1 dot get, remember the getter, get name, to retrieve the name of the student and then the average of the student. Run, and here is the student and his average. Good. So this is the first one. You can do the same thing for student 2, std2 dot, you can do the same, set name, set age, and so on. So you can do the same things for the other part. So this is the first part, and in the second part of this lecture will be about constructors and destructors as well. So remember to subscribe, turn the notification bell on. Thank you and goodbye.